later on YouTube.
Yes, I thought I had already pressed that, but now I did for sure. Thanks, Betty, for the reminder.
Thank you, Carla.
Okay, so now I'd like to introduce our chef, Cindy Presant. Cindy has shared her culinary arts with us also already a couple times this year, and many, including myself, are very excited to have her back. Cindy is not only a talented chef, she is also an accomplished stone carver, an avid farmer's market shopper, and just a really fun person. She's very entertaining. So Cindy, just a little background on her. She has a diploma in culinary management, and she has worked as a line cook and baker for numerous restaurants in the area, including the Twisted Lemon in Cayuga for, I think, 4 years. Cindy delights in using fresh ingredients to make healthful and very vibrant meals. And I think that's what we'll see tonight. So I will now hand it off to Cindy. Okay, so we're just gonna get Cindy up here now. Technical difficulties. We have to get her. Oh, there she is. Okay, there we go. Hi, Cindy.
Hi, how are you, Carla?
I'm good, thanks. I like your hat.
Thank you. Thank you. Yes, it's seasonal, that's for sure. So welcome today. I'm going to show you 3 different recipes. I'm starting with what I call an allium tart, which allium is the onion family, includes onions, garlic, chives, leeks, scallions, shallots, all different kinds of allium. And then I'm going to move to potato curry or curried potatoes. And last, I'm going to do a festive frittata. So I'm going to start now with this onion tart. If you see your recipes, I've got that I'm starting with 4 cups of chopped onion. That I've taken the raw onion. I'll just show you. Taken raw onion, I've cut it lengthwise in half, and then I've cut it about a 1/4 inch lengthwise all the way along. And I actually did 5 cups, not 4 cups of this, and that cooked down to 3. But I'll get there in a second. So I take the raw onion like this. I take garlic cloves, and you can keep you can just like quarter the cloves. You don't have to cut them up really fine because you want every kind of allium to maintain its own character within the tart, so that when you take a bite, it's not mush, right? It's not everything together. You understand the different flavors of each of the alliums. The great thing about cooking onions and garlic, roasting them in the oven, is that then they really become sweet and it mellows out their flavor a bit, so you don't get that sharpness. Sometimes garlic can be a little bit strong when it's fresh. So that just mellows things out really nicely. So you just take your raw onions, your raw garlic that you've cut up, put them in what I use. I use this stainless steel pan. I put them in there with some salt and pepper, some oil, and then I throw them in a 375-degree oven for about half an hour or so. I'm not quite sure what I said here. 45 minutes. Yeah, you stir them every 15 minutes. They cook down, they cook, and then you get something that looks like this, which is, there we go, that's a little better, which is quite nice. I went out to the garden today. I don't have much in my garden anymore. Leeks and these green onions, which I missed earlier in the summer, so they're growing again, which is wonderful. Or scallions, some people call these scallions. I also have beautiful chives, so I'm going to add these in as well. Basically, the recipe that I have here, I've used 2 different size tart pans, and one of the reasons for this is you can freeze this recipe. So maybe you know somebody who might like a smaller allium tart, or maybe a family that would like this. So it's a way of sharing food. And I think this Christmas, it's a great way to think about sharing anything that you have in terms of food with other people. The What's for Dinner Norfolk County Facebook group, which was started in Port Rowan, is really great this way. They always talk about porch drops of food to other people, that kind of thing. So that's a lovely concept to keep in mind for this Christmas. You can share food by giving it to people to eat in their own homes, and that's a wonderful thing. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to do a small tart and put it in the oven, and I think maybe by the end of the show I'm going to plate everything and show you what's happened actually. So I'll see if this one's done. It should be done by the end. Now what I've done here is I've taken some of my pastry, and I've given recipes before for pastry, but basically you want pastry that's about 1/4 of an inch, rolled out to about 1/4 of an inch thick. And then you're just going to line your pan with this. And I'm doing this fairly quickly, just so that you can see the whole process. And then you're going to trim it up. Now, your yield from this recipe depends entirely on how much filling you actually put in this pie. And if you actually want something in a pie shell, you can do that too. You can also buy pastry pre-made, shells pre-made, or puff pastry, and you can use that instead of using your own pastry if you want. That's an easy thing to do. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to take this cooked onion, and I'm going to put it in here. I've also cooked leek. Leek takes less than 10 minutes to cook in boiling water. In the recipe, I say to put the leeks in water and then bring it to a boil. It'll go faster if you boil water first and then put the leeks in. It's up to you. Leeks add just that nice bit of green color and variation, and you can still see where the chunks of garlic are too, but these are nothing like raw garlic that way. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to chop up a few chives, just really quickly, because beautiful color, and you get that additional different flavor too, which is super nice. I'm going to throw those in, and I'm going to take some of these greens from the scallion. Of course, I will use the remainder of all these ingredients later. In fact, my fridge will be full of food by the end of this cooking demo, which is one sort of cool thing about doing cooking demos. You then have food for a week, or food to share with other people, which is also nice. So there's some lovely greens. I'm not measuring. Here's some parsley, actually from my garden too, plants that I left there. And so I'm putting this parsley in as well. And I'm mixing all that up. And usually when I cook the onions, I throw some butter in too, some unsalted butter, when I'm roasting them in the oven, just to bring that up a bit. I didn't actually this time, but here you can see the lovely color, right? Well, kind of, sort of, yeah. So now what I'm going to do, I've taken a cup of sour cream and I have whisked in 1/4 cup of milk, so it's still quite thick. The original recipe for a leek tart calls for mixing flour in too, but I wanted to offer a gluten-free version. This is obviously not gluten-free, but if you want to go gluten-free, just oil the pan instead, put your onion filling in, and then top it with mashed potatoes. You can even pipe the mashed potatoes on, and then it's gluten-free. So, in fact, every one of these recipes today can be gluten-free, which is astonishing. I'm not usually that organized. So I've got my leeks, I've got my onions, I've got my garlic, I've got my other greens, salt and pepper to taste. So I'm going to grind some fresh pepper into that. And I'm going to throw some salt in. Beautiful. Don't need too much, really. I could put eggs in it, but then that would make it like a quiche. And I could put cheese in it, that would make it like a quiche. The alliums are delicious on their own, And this is about understanding the different flavors of the individual ingredients. You don't always have to make things that much fancier. Although, I mean, I am adding sour cream because it is Christmas. So I'm adding this in, mixing it all in. Actually, I'm just going to mix it all in like that. Even though this is a little more sour cream than I had onion for, because my onions cooked down a little more than I thought. You can cook them to whatever degree you want, but they will be cooking again in the oven. And maybe you don't want, well, I don't know. Maybe you do really want them like cooked right down. Each to their own. So you just mix all this up, and then you put it in your pan. The nice thing about the reason I'm using these, one, they freeze and stack really well, because I do this for my parents all the time. And secondly, then you've got something that looks a little bit different for the table. And some people don't, you know, savory tart, what is that? So, well, there's lots of those around. Meat pies are savory tart. So, meat pies are classic. So, this is not a meat thing. Okay, so that's about as much as I want. Now I'm going to cover it with a lattice work lid. And you can go to any level of, any degree of fancy with lattice work lids that you want, or you can keep it really, really simple. Or you could just put an entire lid on it if you wanted, and then just, you know, cut. So for this, you could just use a knife. I'm rolling out the pastry again until it's fairly thin. Hopefully I have enough here, but I have lots more in the fridge. So you could just use a knife to cut strips, or you can use this cool little thingy, which name I forget. It's like a fluted cutter. You've probably seen these around. And I'm just gonna cut like 1/4-inch strips of pastry with it. And once I've cut them all, I'm going to cover them with egg wash, because it's a little hard to do that after the fact. I know, because I've tried a couple times. Actually, do it whatever way you want. I'm going to do it, I'm just going to do it straight. Hope you can see here under this stuff. There, okay, so then you're taking your you can do, I mean, with lattice, you can go really fancy and go up and down and weave it all around. I'm not doing that this time. I'm just putting a bunch this way and then a bunch that way. Or on the diagonal, I guess I should say. And I'm not sticking them down with egg wash either. They stay. Yeah. You don't always have to make things really difficult for yourself. It still looks nice. This just makes it a little prettier for Christmas, or whatever holiday you might be celebrating this time of year. There are many. It just looks like you've, you know, taken a little more time. What you can do with this as well, if you want, is you can sprinkle chopped parsley on top afterwards, but it's not a necessity. So I'll just show you what I'm doing. See, I'm making it into a nice little lattice thing. It doesn't take much pastry. And if you use puff pastry, it'd be delicious too. But of course, my pastry is quite decent. So yeah. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my pastry brush and an egg wash. And this egg wash is just straight egg that I've whisked till it's a uniform consistency. And I'm just going to lightly brush these. Yeah, it would have been easier to have done it on the counter, but I'm just brushing all of the lattice work lightly with egg. And it really does make a difference. It makes it a golden brown, beautiful golden brown. If you don't do this, it will look like maybe it's not cooked. People are so spoiled. So we'll do it this way, and then like this. The great thing about this, about two of these recipes that I'm showing tonight, is that you can make them the day before, and then you can reheat them. The curry potatoes are delicious reheated. Most curry is quite, it's like chili, right? It's delicious reheated. And this is as well. So that's all I'm going to do. I'm going to try to flute the edges and make these a little prettier. It's difficult with these pans. It's quite easy with a pie plate. But I just wanted to show something a little bit different. Okay, so there you go. And this is going into a 425-degree oven for a few minutes until the pastry is golden and somewhat puffed. And then I'm going to gradually keep reducing the temperature. And I should probably set the timer. Betty's voice is in my head. Set the timer. It's like Yoda. I'm not comparing Betty with Yoda, just it's the same sort of wisdom. So anyway, there we go. So that is the allium tart in the oven. And we're going to cook that, and then at the end of this evening, I'll take it out and show it, and we'll plate everything. Thank you, Carla.
Okay, great, Cindy. That was great, and thank you. And I can also say that it tastes great because when Cindy was doing a trial run of this recipe, she kindly offered some to us as a sample, and it was really lovely. My family really enjoyed it. So you should really make this recipe. It would be great for brunch. Okay, now we're going to go to Jan and John Everett. And they are also known as the Rice Krispie cake artists of Long Point. Just a little background. For years, Jan and John have celebrated holidays or festive occasions by making and creating Rice Krispie decorations. They like to promote that in just 20 minutes, anyone can design their own holiday shape or ornament or tree or whatever you like. And so please enjoy Jan and John demonstrating this technique for us tonight. And I'll put it over to them. I'll have to unmute you guys first. There. Unmute takes a few minutes sometimes. There we go. Okay.
Thank you, Carla.
Thanks, Carla. And thank you, Carla, and thank you for the Port Rowan Farmers Market for giving us the opportunity to do our demonstration for this evening's festive event. We're going to be doing 3 segments. The first segment is we're going to be showing you all the materials and ingredients and equipment we use to make our Rice Krispie square, and we're making a snowman this time. Then we're having another 5-minute segment where we're going to be showing you how to make the concoction in the bowl and turn it into the Rice Krispie square shape. And then in our 3rd segment, we're going to be decorating. So we're in our home in Long Point right now. Behind me, you'll see a Christmas tree that was made by a friend of ours in St. Williams using tobacco slats from Norfolk County Tobacco Farm. And these lovely snowmen here, we got at the Port Rowan thrift store. So we try to stay local as much as we can. Can you hear me all right? It says unmuting. Okay, so.
Yeah, we can hear you. Great. It's great.
Okay, so our first and most important ingredient is Rice Krispies. We use normal, regular Kellogg's Rice Krispies. They have a holiday version that is green and red and gold. They also have a vanilla version. You can use whatever you like. We like to use Rice Krispies.
We've all seen these before.
The next major ingredient is marshmallows. We use 45 marshmallows. The recipe in the middle of the box calls for 40 marshmallows, but it's just a little gooier when you add a few more marshmallows. And speaking of the Rice Krispie box, on the inside of the box, there is the recipe in case you can't follow what we're doing today. The most important utensil you've got is we use a pan. We use a non-stick pan. You'll understand why you use a non-stick pan when it comes cleanup time. You can use a large pot. Please consider using a non-stick pan. It'll pay dividends at the end. Thanks, Jim. We place the first ingredient is 50 mLs or a quarter cup of butter. We use salted butter. I don't know if you can use unsalted butter. We just use salted butter. Okay.
Snowman plate?
We have a measuring cup we use to measure up the 6 cups of Rice Krispies for our recipe. I use gloves for mixing the ingredients up. You have to use some margarine at a moment in time, and you get your hands a little greasy. So, you have the margin there, dear?
No.
So we'll be using margarine later on in our second segment. Another important ingredient is vanilla extract. This is a 1 liter bottle of vanilla extract, and the recipe calls for 1/2 of a teaspoon, which I think is 2 mLs. This is the only thing we use our vanilla extract for, is making Rice Krispie square treats. So we've made quite a few. I think this would, if I followed the recipe, this would be over 400 Rice Krispie square treats just from this bottle alone. We use a piece of cardboard or a tray, cookie sheet, whatever you like to put it on. And so you just make it whatever shape you like. And what our particular method is, we put aluminum foil to cover the top of the tray, and then we put margarine on the aluminum foil so that the crispy treat doesn't stick.
So if you're giving these crispy treats to someone, then they could just have the whole thing and they keep the, they keep the pan and everything.
You wrap it in saran wrap or aluminum foil also to keep it fresh. Next, we use a spatula. You can see the spatula that we just got at Pharmacy last week, and a mixer to mix the ingredients up. You'll see these being used in our next segment. Now we're getting into the ingredients that we're going to be using to putting on the tree. So our first ingredient is the icing.
Icing, okay.
We used Betty Crocker whipped icing. We spread it on top of the snowman to make it a nice fluffy white. And the hat, which we'll be making, is black, and we use black icing to make the hat. And for the eyes, we have jujubes. You can use whatever you got. We use jujubes for the process. And we also have, for the nose, we have carrots that we'll be using. And these carrots are from Heritage Lane. We just got them last week through Cindy. So that will be the nose for the Rice Krispie. And for the arms, we use black Twizzlers. For the scarf, we use red Twizzlers. And then for the buttons, we found dates. We tried to find something that looks as close to coal as possible, and dates and prunes were it. And I think dates is probably a better choice than prunes, coal for certain. So we'll be using these when we decorate in our third segment. So that's everything we're going to be using. We have some black jujubes also that we use for the eyes. So we are all done this particular segment. When we next see you, we'll be halfway through cooking the Rice Krispie Square concoction. Thank you very much.
Okay, see you soon.
See you soon.
That was great. Thank you, Jan and John. I look forward to seeing the, the final product. So now we're going to have Shaelee Sheppard play some music for us. So I'll just give you a little background on Shaelee. She is a very talented 15-year-old who plays the fiddle, the guitar, and is a singer-songwriter. In 2018, she won Bayfest Has Talent with her fiddle playing, and she has also played at numerous locations in the area for crowds of 10 to 1,200 people, which includes the Port Rowan Farmers Market, where we've had her on numerous occasions in the past to play for us. So obviously this summer has been a harder summer for live events, but Shaelee has been keeping busy, spending her time writing her own music, which will soon be released on Spotify, Apple, and Google Music. So if you'd like more info or want to follow Shaelee, you can find her on Instagram and Facebook at Shaelee Sheppard Music. So now we will turn it over to Shaelee.
Hello, everybody. Thank you for having me play for you guys. I'm very happy. Like, with COVID, I've been able to perform that much. So I like doing these Zoom like meetings. I'm still performing, still getting like out there. So I'm really happy to be able to play for you guys. My first song is gonna be a mix of two of my favorite songs, a Christmas song and a fiddle tune. So yeah, hope you guys enjoy and hope you guys have a good night.
Oh, that was wonderful, Shaelee.
Thank you.
Perfect for the holiday spirit. Thank you.
Yeah.
I love that.
I love Christmas music, so I decided to put it in with a fiddle tune to make it a little faster. I love fast songs. I play fast most of the time.
I'd always say something.
Yes.
That was great.
Thank you.
Okay, well now we'll go back to Cindy for her second recipe, and we'll come back to Shaelee after. Thank you.
Hello, everybody. Yes, I'm back into my second recipe now. This is a recipe from an amazing cookbook that I've had for a long time. It's called Extending the Table, a World Community Cookbook. And they are recipes that were brought back from Mennonite missions internationally. And this recipe is a Bangladesh recipe, actually. And I've modified the recipe a little bit. Basically, what it is it's potatoes cooked in a spiced tomato sauce to make things, to put things really simply. So what I'm going to start doing here is I want to talk just for a minute about the different spices. One of the spices that I'm going to use is turmeric. And turmeric is that, amazing, amazing orange colored spice. And it is extremely healthy for you as well. It's been used for thousands of years in India as both food and a medicine. It's very high in curcumin, which you can now buy as a supplement, but you can also just eat it. It's anti-inflammatory, it's an antioxidant, and it works really well with black pepper. So that leads me into the next thing that I'm putting in this mixture, which is garam masala, which is basically a northern Indian spice mixture that's got cloves and cinnamon and bay leaves and peppercorns and cardamom. Cardamom is these funny little green seed pods that you've probably seen. And the only way, well, okay, you can use your hands to try to get these things open to get the black seeds out so you don't need the husk. Or you can take something like this, which is actually a pastry temper, and you can just crush it like that, and then you can pull the seeds out. All of these spices are things that we use in North American, how shall I say, old North American cuisine. Pickles, pickling spice, mustard pickles have almost all these spices in. And cardamom surprised me for a long time. Well, puzzled me. Because the fragrance, I thought, I know this fragrance. I know this fragrance, but I had not actually used cardamom before for anything. So I thought about it. And then I realized it's the flavoring that's used in double bubble gum. So the next time you smell cardamom, it should be very familiar if you've had that. So basically, I've taken these spices, I've made a fresh garam masala, and I buzzed all these up. Use a spice grinder or a coffee grinder. Do not use the bowl of your immersion blender. Even if it's been able to grind up other things, it won't work for very long. Found that out. Anyway, so I've got these spices. What I'm going to do is I'm going to heat up some oil in this pan. I'm going to use some sunflower oil. Again, I could use olive oil, but I'm going to use a bit of sunflower oil. And I'm going to do things a little bit differently than the order that I had them in, because I have a friend whose father made us a curry for lunch one day, and he put the spices in first. And he said, cook your spices. And that curry was incredibly good. So I'm going to take 3/4 of a teaspoon of the masala, garam masala, and the turmeric, and put some salt in as well, and just cook my spices, not at a high temperature, but just until they get nicely aromatic. One of my friends well, the chef I used to work with, he's quite the home chef as well, and does all kinds of stuff, he and his wife. He said, remember to roast your spices first, but I think this cuts that step out. If you just, I'm going to put some salt in now. I just put some garam masala in. There. I didn't measure. So I just want those spices to cook a little bit, and then I'm going to add my minced onion, which I've done ahead of time, and I'm going to let it cook down a little bit. So we'll just throw that in and stir it. So you can see that the onion and the spices are combining nicely. I might need a little bit more oil than I have there. The fragrance is wonderful. And you know, this time of year, it's so nice to work with fragrant spices. It just makes everything better. Besides the fact that they're incredibly healthy for you too. So those are cooking away a bit. What I have done, I can see them, but I cannot. There it is. I minced some garlic earlier, just to save a little bit of time. And what I did was I put olive oil over it, and that to kind of hold in that flavor. It helps it from making the whole fridge smell like garlic, but it also keeps it fresher too if you do that. So yeah, so I've got some garlic there. I'm going to wait till the onions are down a bit, and I really don't want to burn the garlic because that is just going to make everything not taste good. Now this time of year, it's a little bit difficult to get fresh tomatoes. So I'm using canned tomatoes, and I'm using a few more than are in the recipe. The recipe says 4 tomatoes, but these are little plum tomatoes, right? So you need a few more than that. And again, it might be to taste for you too, right? Maybe you would prefer to taste more tomato than potato. And again, I mean, having this as a potato dish for Christmas is kind of neat, because normally at brunch table, you know, like you'd have hash browns or home fries or something like that. So this is more interesting and healthier too. And you could have flatbreads, or you could have toast, or you could have rice, whatever. Make your brunch interesting. And this recipe, like chilies, like I mentioned before, is super good the next day. I'm just turning down my lattice tart here, my allium tart, to 375. And haven't burned anything yet, so things are good. So just chopping up these tomatoes. This is a quick recipe. Well, okay. So once I get everything together in it, then it will cook for about 45 minutes because potatoes take a bit of time. I'm just going to clean this off. This is not how I would clean things normally, but you know, it's a cooking demo. There's not a lot of time. Okay, so those are done. I'm going to put in a little bit of garlic. Well, actually, it says 2 to 4 cloves. It depends on how much you like garlic. And of course, garlic's super healthy for you too, right? We all need these things now. Use your food as something for health too. And if the people you live in the house with don't believe in food as health, just don't mention it. Just make it. They can eat it, whatever. Okay, so I'm putting in the garlic. I really, really don't want it to burn. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to mix that up. And what you want to do is you want to wait until the garlic just gets fragrant. So, oh, that's so nice. Yeah, so this reheats beautifully. So this is another thing that you can easily do the night before or the day before. There, putting the tomatoes in, mixing it around, and we'll let that cook for a second while I cut up the potatoes. I got these potatoes from Heritage Lane, which of course is part of Port Rowan Farmers Market. You can still order stuff from them. You can order stuff. You can order from the Port Rowan Farmers Market until tomorrow for this first market, which is Friday. And then the second market is on December 11th, I think. Yes, December 11th. So for the Wednesday to Wednesday before that, you can look at your calendar. You can also order again. And there's a lovely variety of fresh ingredients and prepared foods, including, if you're not up to making an allium tart, there's a lovely assortment of quiches and things from Rose and Daffodil Bakery. But if you do make your own tart, there's also a lovely variety of pickles and chutneys from Blueberry Hill. Well, this is interesting. You'll see that I'm cutting and then I'm looking at you and then I'm looking down and then I'm not cutting. I worked one weekend at a large banquet hall that had a gazillion cooks. And one of the cooks was this young guy, and he's trying to impress, I guess. And he said, look, I can cut with my eyes shut. And he did. It was quite frightening. I only worked there one weekend, but some jobs are like that. So yeah, so in terms of potatoes, I see that I'm just continuing to cut here. This is 4 potatoes cubed. So I'm thinking like this is 1, 2, 3, and maybe one more, because these are fairly small. Because Greg does not use, at Heritage Lane Produce, does not use pesticides, I'm leaving the skin on, which keeps some of those lovely vitamins in the skin. And it's nice too, a little bit of texture, a little bit of different flavor. And throw those in. Now, when you open a can of tomatoes, of course, you're going to have some of that tomato juice. You can use some of that in place of water. And if you look at my recipes, you'll probably need to add more either tomato juice or water to this than is actually in the recipe. Unless you want to cook things really, really slow and watch them really carefully, which you may or may not. So we're going to put a bit of water in there. And then I'm going to cover it, and it can cook away for a while. So wow, that was easy, eh? Super quick, super easy, and a really, really good recipe. And I'm just seeing if there's any other notes I wanted to make. Oh yeah. Oh shoot, I forgot my capers. Oh, I love capers. So capers, Caperis spinosa from the Mediterranean region. Also Morocco, also Australia. It's a little shrub, and these are the unopened flower buds of that shrub, and then they're packed in a brine. This is not necessarily a traditional curry ingredient, but man, they're so good. You get that sharp brininess, that really good flavor. So I'm just going to add those in the curry as well. So this is the thing with curry. You can tailor it to what you like, right? Substitute, improvise, like any cooking, right? Oh, this makes such a nice sauce, and it gives such amazing flavor to potatoes, which tend to be kind of dull a lot of the time. The other thing I forgot that I'm just adding here is a tablespoon of lemon juice. The lemon juice makes a big difference. It just sparks things up. Usually lemon is used to lift sauces, and this not only lifts sauces, but it flavors the potatoes too. So about a tablespoon of lemon juice in there. You can always add a bit more later. I should stir it in, I will, when I leave you. Right, so I think I'm at about, I've got about 5 minutes more. 5 minutes more, and then I will be done explaining this prep. Okay, this recipe, I'm sorry, I'm reverting to restaurant lingo, prep mise en place, which means having all of your preparation in place and ready to go at the beginning of service so that you just pull from what you have, right? You don't have to actually go. I actually had to make mashed potatoes to order one day, like cook the potatoes and mash. It was difficult. The other thing in this recipe is garnish, and it is browned onions. So we have, I mean, many people have made like onion rings or fried crispy onions where you deep fry them. But these are like a shallow fried onion, and they have an amazing flavor. They're extremely sweet, and they're chewy. Well, okay, mine are chewy. They're supposed to be crispy, but yeah, so I made these earlier. That's why they're not quite like that. What you do is you just take your onion and you slice it really thin, and then you get a pan hot, you put some oil in it, and you cook your onions. You have to keep stirring them. You cook them until they're brown and crispy. And you'd be amazed at the flavor. It's really good. And this is going to go on top of the potato curry. I didn't demonstrate this time because it's a little bit, well, that's easy, right? You can do that. Right. So were there any questions, Carla, that have come up? Actually, it looks like maybe the Everetts are close to showing their next, yeah, they're walking around. So perhaps now that we've got that on, I'm just going to check on the tart. Oh, it's coming along beautifully. Good. Okay, so if you recall from the first recipe, I just keep reducing the temperature because I don't want to burn the pastry, but I want all of the onion and the sour cream and milk to all cook into a nice consistent filling. All right, that is the curry potatoes. If you'd like to switch over to the Everetts now, Carla.
Oh, sorry, Cindy. I thought I was unmuted. Okay, that was great. Thank you. That's another great recipe I want to try. It's making me very hungry. Okay, we'll switch over to Jan and John and see how the Rice Krispies are coming. I am trying to unmute them, but I don't know. You might have to unmute yourself because it's not working for me. Okay, there we go. I think,
Yeah, do you think, can you hear us now?
yeah, we can hear
Oh,
you. That's great.
Excellent.
Okay, we're over in the kitchen now, and while we were gone watching Cindy's recipe, we took our non-stick pan, and you'll remember why we want the non-stick pan. We melted the butter in it, and we put in the 45 marshmallows, and now we're making it a nice little concoction of just sort of gooiness. And we sort of set it off the heat once it's all sort of reached a certain consistency. And then we take our half a teaspoon of vanilla extract. Of course, being a man, I don't measure anything, so I just sort of put in as much as it'll take.
It always tastes pretty good. Okay.
So then you stir this all up and make sure the vanilla extract is completely stirred into the melted marshmallows. If you buy the vanilla Rice Krispie squares, you're probably halfway there already. But we don't use those, we use the regular ones. So also, while we're doing this, we've also measured out 6 cups of Rice Krispies that we're all ready to pour in. And once you give the marshmallows a few seconds to sort of congeal and cool down, I find if you wait a minute or two, the Rice Krispies sort of meld together a little bit better. So I think we're ready to do it now.
Giving away all our secrets.
And this is the time-consuming aspect of it, is just making sure the Rice Krispies and the marshmallows sort of get together evenly. We have to do it quite a bit. So Jan's going to show you what she's been doing while we're going to be doing this.
So on the snowman, I'm going to make a red scarf out of these string licorice, red licorice here. So I'm braiding these 3 strands. So we'll just kind of do that. And then we'll set it aside for our next segment for when we need that scarf. So I will put this down. And the other thing we can show you is when you're doing Rice Krispie anything, you can use, if you want to, like a cookie cutter. So this is a Christmas tree, and it's nice and, you know, it's thick, but it doesn't matter if it's thick. I mean, any cookie cutter would do. And then you could make those shapes. I have a snowman, of course. These are Wilton, but they have them everywhere. And this guy is a mint. So after you've made the shapes, after John shows you how to, you know, the molding is all done, and then you can decorate those whatever you want them to look like, and you can get them out and you can wrap them up nice and makes a nice present.
Also, while we were away watching Cindy's presentation, we made our tray. We wrapped it in aluminum foil, and you might be able to see that we've put margarine in the shape of a snowman on this. And I cheat a bit. I take a piece of the table or the countertop, and I put some margarine, again with my gloves, put some margarine on the top. And then when it comes time to pour the Rice Krispie square for cooling, you just sort of throw it on here and then let it rest for a minute. And again, the longer you leave it to rest, the easier it is to make things. And this is a really good time for your Rice Krispie to be very, very malleable. And this is, again, if you decide that you don't want to make a snowman, and we're making a snowman, if you decide you want to make a candy cane, or a Christmas tree, or Christmas ornaments, or a turtle, which we've done many of, as you can imagine, this is a great opportunity for you to mold the Rice Krispie mass into whatever you like. So we're just going to let it get into a little sort of shape like, oops, forgot to put the margarine on my gloves again.
Those Krispies are flying.
And again, you'll find this very, very useful, having the margarine. So you just sort of make sure the concoction is sort of congealing and solidifying. It takes a couple of minutes. So a few questions for Jan while we're doing this. Jan, can you tell me what a snowman eats for breakfast?
Frosty Flakes?
I thought it was Ice Krispies.
I suppose either one would work.
Okay. And what do you do when you cross a snowman with a baker? What do you get?
I don't know.
Frosty the Dough Man.
Oh, geez, I
So-
hope you got a few more of those, John.
Actually, that's the end of the line for me. I think you'll all be happy to hear. So now we're about at the spot where we're now going to create the three parts of the snowman's body.
Oh, wait, I'm just showing, like, see, there's the bottom.
Yep.
Just put that with some tape, and that's as fancy as it is.
So it's very, very malleable. So you just start and you just set it down. You make the base of the trunk a little bit bigger than the middle. And again, just use your hands. And we'll make it a little bit larger in a few moments, because sometimes you have a little bit left over. And if you have a little bit left over, then you can just sort of make Rice Krispie squares and then hand them out to the children later on. So there's what we've got so far. And now the hat, which you can imagine takes a little bit more expertise.
John's pretty good at this, quite fast at it.
I'll say I'm experienced, I won't say I'm adept. So once you get the hat, because it's a kind of a different shape, you get those lifters that I told you about before. You choose this lifter and you just sort of slide it underneath and then set it down on your Rice Krispie tray. And we're almost done. We're going to show you the way it looks right now. And then when you come back in our last 5-minute segment, we'll be decorating. Thank you very much. Over to you, Shaelee.
See you soon.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. That was really great, you guys.
You're welcome.
I love that. You make it look so easy.
Yes, does it?
It really is
I
easy.
think now
I'm
we're
not
gonna-
that good.
I think now we're going to go back to Cindy right now for her third recipe. And then we'll go to another song to Shaelee after. Okay. Back over to you, Cindy.
Hi. Oh, that was really interesting. I'm going to have to watch the video again once Carla uploads it to YouTube so that I can get the procedure down, because my mind was in many different places while I was listening to that. But wow, we can all make Rice Krispie cakes for Christmas for sure. And that's a very brunch-like item because it's like eating cereal, right? I was thinking about that the other day. I was thinking you could make Rice Krispie s'mores. You could just chop up chocolate and brown some marshmallows over your gas stove or a candle and mix them up with Rice Krispies. So anyway, what I'm doing now is I'm making a frittata. I'm making, well, it's like a 4.5 egg frittata because I still had some egg wash, so I'm doing those. So I've got 4 eggs in here. I'm whisking them up. The trick with making a good frittata, making this an efficient brunch item, is to pre-cook your vegetables. So what I've done is I've sauteed mushrooms ahead of time. I've also sauteed some red pepper and also a little bit of onion in my pan here. This is a stainless steel pan. This is not non-stick, but it is an amazing pan because if you throw in some butter, non-stick or unsalted butter, I just use unsalted butter, and yeah, I think it would be quite possible to use unsalted butter for the Rice Krispie squares. I think that would work, or Rice Krispie cakes, pardon me. I think that would work really well. Anyway, so yeah, so I'm using my mezzaluna to cut up some parsley because I want to have those red and green colors in this frittata to make it festive. And I tried with my peppers to cut them into diamond shapes, but it wasn't like super successful. And then I sauteed those. I colored up the skin just a bit, like just, you could barbecue it too and then chop it up. If your barbecue is still running, that'd be super good too. You get those additional flavors. Now, frittata, of course, is closely related to omelets and quiches. This frittata, I am putting feta cheese and Parmesan in. I'm not, well, yeah, and I'm putting some, yeah, okay. And I'm putting yogurt in it too, because I want there to be some richness to it. This is, I just, yeah, stuck my finger in the yogurt, but anyway. This is Christmas, this is, or whatever holiday you are celebrating. And fortunately, all that didn't go on the floor. That would have been a different cooking demo. Cooking demo mission. So, it takes a little bit to whisk the yogurt into the eggs, but doing that. And now I'm just going to season the eggs a little bit. And my pinch bowl of salt here, a little bit of salt, not too much. And some marjoram, I love marjoram. It's a lovely, lovely, lovely herb. So all that in, oh, really nice. It's one of the elements in poultry stuffing, but poultry stuffing or seasoning goes way over. Way over. So, got the egg mixed up. I've got my vegetables here. Sauteed onions, peppers, and mushrooms. I've got some feta cheese. I'm looking at my pan and it's in good shape. So I'm gonna put in half the egg. Now the recipe, as I have written it, will not, okay, so it needs a little bit of revision. But I'll tell you in a minute. The size of your pan, of course, makes a huge difference. And this is a small pan that I'm using. I put the butter in to help it be non-stick. I'm putting in half of the vegetables, letting the eggs set a little bit, and then putting in half of the vegetables. And the peppers. Because I like the vegetables to be throughout, not just in the bottom. The other thing you don't want with the frittata, you don't want to cook it so much that it becomes spongy. That's just gross. And now I'm going to take some of my lovely parsley so that you get the red and the green, right? Super Christmassy, and some feta cheese. And then I'm going to mix that in a little bit with the thing that I others. So that's going nicely. I'm going to turn down my potato curry a little bit, which needs another thing. That's cooking quite nicely, actually. And the tart is almost done. So you can see within an hour. I mean, you can cook frittata ahead of time too, and people do that sometimes, and then reheat it, or eat it cold, or put it in a sandwich like you would an omelet, or if you're doing like a toasted Western kind of thing. Toasted. I don't even know what you'd call that, but anyway. So now I'm putting in the rest of my egg and the rest of my vegetable. Right, so the times that I have listed in the recipe, it takes a lot longer than that. It takes about half an hour in the oven with this size of pan. If you have a larger pan, of course, it's going to cook faster. It's also going to be thinner. And I want like a thick little cake-like cake. It's like a frittata cake. That's what it's like. So I may not use quite as much cheese as I said I would, but anyway. So the feta's in there, parsley, mushroom. There. So now we let that cook for a bit. And what I need to do now is take the allium tart out of the oven. And whoa, shoot, okay. I'm going to clean this up a little bit because next I'm going to show you how all this works together. The potato curry is not quite done, but I did make it earlier, so I can show you what it looks like. Fortunately, the lattice tart the allium tart, which I keep calling lettuce tart, is just done now, which is amazing. That hardly ever happens. So I'll just get one of these things. Actually, I'm gonna have it go just a few more minutes, but I want to show it to you. See? It's quite pretty. There's still some liquid there, so I want to cook it longer to let the filling thicken more, the same as you would with a fruit pie. The smell is just marvelous. And then something like this you can freeze. You can also unmold it so that like you can take it out of there and then just set it on a plate. And I'll show you that with one that I made earlier, actually. I'll show you how that works. I wanted to pretend that I had all of this all made like just today and all the same size, but these things don't always work. Okay, work for me. So you can see it's a fairly thick tart, right? It's fairly thick. Oops. Fairly thick and nice, and you should be able to slice it up somewhat. So tart. The curried potatoes. This is what it looks like when it's done. And I sprinkled some fresh Parmesan on it, just to show it, to bring it to life a little more. And of course, we also have these lovely round onions that you can put on top as well as a beautiful, very flavorful garnish. And garnishes should always be flavorful. And the frittata, which is cooking, is nowhere near done. But I made one earlier. And although that is it's a stainless steel pan, it's not a stick pan. I know that doesn't sound quite right. It came out beautifully. Frittatas are supposed to be brown like that. I didn't think it would come out that well. So what I did was when it was set, I sprinkled Parmesan on top and I put it under the broiler to brown it. But the great thing about a frittata like this is that you can then cut it in wedges and you can serve wedges. So people are like, what is this? Is this an egg pie? What is this? It's a frittata. It's a festive frittata. And you could also, if your colors are not quite what you want, just sprinkle some more of that delicious and very healthy parsley on top. The mushrooms and peppers I got from Greg at Heritage Lane Produce. He also does like sort of separate orders directly to his farm, but then is also at the Port Rowan Farmers Market. The other ingredients you can get from some of our other producers that are on the market site. Carrots come from a few different places. Again, there's lots of baking. There's drink. There's all kinds of other desserts and lots of fruit and vegetables. Lots of apples too, delicious apples from Kent Creek Orchards. So I couldn't feature all those today. This is a strange day for me because I'm not doing any desserts. But the Everetts are, and I think they're probably ready to show you their snowman decorated. So thank you very much for watching me cook, and now I'm quite excited to see the snowman cake get decorated.
Great, thank you, Cindy. That looks like a wonderful brunch. We'll go back, I think we're gonna go back to Jan and John to see how the snowman is shaping up, and then we'll go to Shaelee for a final song. So you're up, Jan and John. Maybe you can unmute yourself because it won't let me do it. Okay, they're just give them a moment or two to start their video and unmute. There we go. Okay. Hello.
Everyone, how we doing? We'll turn that light a little bit. It's a little bright over here. We do apologize. We're still working on our lighting. Last we met, we just finished the snowman, and we were just putting him on the aluminum foil. So you can see we've now covered him in white icing. And now Jan's about to finish off the white icing, and I'm going to be painting the snowman's hat black. Have the black stuff in it. Okay, thank you, dear.
So it's kind of on a tilt because we don't know what we have here. But so this is the icing that we talked about earlier. It's called whipped vanilla or fluffy, whatever you want to use. And we just kind of did this a little bit ahead because there's a lot to do here. So that's that. Just kind of spread that around. This was a little bit hard, just a little bit from the fridge. So I just microwaved it like 10 seconds, just enough to make it soft. And John's working on the hat. So now I think I'm going to start from the top and go down. So I'm going to do the eyes. So these black jujubes that we have here, they're just kind of tall, so I cut it in the middle like that to make the eyes just a little bit smaller. And so I'm going to put those eyes on there now. It's not perfect, but it never is when you're out on the front lawn and you're just getting stuff from the driveway. So those are the eyes, not too hard. So this is this beautiful carrot that we got from Heritage Lane. And I'm going to put him in there.
We take a sharp knife and we sort of pre-drill a hole so that it'll fit in there. And again, the cake is still kind of malleable. So for the arms also, we pre-drill holes in the sides for the arms. And we've done that for the carrot for the nose.
So now we're going to work on the mouth. I just kind of do it in order. I don't know why. So take a black licorice, just the thin kind, and just kind of make snips and snips and snips, the little guys. And then that'll be his mouth. And so I did a few of those already. So just going to put them around in a little smile. Like that. You can correct me if I'm wrong on any of this stuff, because it's been a while since John and I have actually built a snowman. That looks pretty good, John.
Okay, sure. Looks fabulous.
Yeah, he's kind of smiling.
Let's get the arms in, dear.
Oh, he's got the scarf.
Oh, I apologize. Jan did that scarf while I was mixing the Rice Krispies up. You remember in our last segment?
So, and I did 2 braids, and then I just kind
A
of
little closer.
just did 2 little braids, and then I knotted them just a little bit. So I'm just going to lay them right there on the icing. And the icing is great because everything sticks to it, and it doesn't move, and it works well. Okay, so next, I would say
The arms.
maybe the arm, yeah. So I take a black licorice, and I just kind of cut, I hope you can see that, cut it
Down the center.
down the center like that, and just about halfway, and then just go like that, and there's a twig for his arm. So there's one arm, so it's going in there. And I lay there like that, I guess.
Yep, that's good.
And then here's another one. I did him already.
Yeah, perfect. Good job.
Okay, so now what do you think's next? I think it's the buttons. So these are these dates that we were talking about earlier. Kind of my apron's a little dark, so that's that. Can we see? So that I think it's 1, and I think it's 2 on the bottom. So you can, like right now, he's all done.
We can show them to you. You can see them right there. We'll hold them up just a bit.
And if you want to add like some sparkles, and we have these little sparkles, these little canisters. They got all sorts of. There's a nice white, and this is a shiny one. So I'm just going to sprinkle that because the icing is still very soft. So it's going to be very snazzy once I do that. John, it's not usually this nice, is it?
It's fabulous. So you've seen a professional chef, and now you've seen some amateur chefs. We're trying to maintain our amateur status for the Olympics, if that's all right, folks. But certainly there's quite a marked difference between Cindy's presentation and ours. But that's everything. And again, thank you very much, Carla, and the Port Rowan Farmers Market for giving us the opportunity to show you what we do year-round. Thank you very much. Merry Christmas.
Thanks,
Bye-bye.
everybody.
See you again. Bye-bye.
Great. Thank you, you guys. That looks, I would say that's a very professional snowman. It's beautiful. It turned out great.
Just put on these little guys too.
Thanks
I
again.
love it. Thank you.
Okay.
Okay. I think now we're going to go to Shaelee for a final holiday song. So I'll spotlight her.
Hello. John and Jen, those look amazing. As a frequent taste tester, I'd say, of the Rice Krispies, that looks very good. I bet you it tastes very good as well.
Thank you.
My song is called Mistletoe. It's by Justin Bieber. So I hope you guys enjoy. It's the most beautiful time of the year. Lights fill the streets, getting so much cheer. I should be playing in the winter snow, but I'm gonna be under the mist. I don't want to miss out on the holiday, but I can't stop staring at your face. I should be playing in the winter snow, but I'm gonna be under the mist. With you, shawty, with you, with you, shawty, with you, with you, under the mistletoe. Everyone's gathering around the fire, chestnuts roasting like a hot July. I should be chilling with my folks, I know, but I'm gonna be under the mistletoe. Word on the street saying it's coming tonight. Reindeer's flying through the sky so high. I should be making lists, I know, but I'm gonna be under the mistletoe with you. Shawty, with you, shawty, with you, under the mistletoe. With you, shawty, with you, shawty, with you, under the mistletoe. Hey, love. Wise men follow the stars, the way I followed my heart. And it led me to a miracle and love. Don't you buy me nothing, because I am feeling one thing. It's your lips on my lips, that's a very Merry Christmas. It's the most beautiful time of the year. Lights in the streets spreading so much cheer. I should be playing in the winter snow. I'm gonna be under the mistletoe. I don't wanna miss out on the holiday, but I can't stop staring at your face. I should be playing in the winter snow. I'm gonna be under the mistletoe with you. Shawty, with you, shawty, with you, under the mistletoe. With you, shawty, with you, shawty, with you, under the mistletoe. Thank you. And thank you for having me. I hope you guys enjoyed. Everybody, Cindy and John and Jan, you guys are amazing. And thank you for having me.
Oh, wow, that was great, Shaelee. What a way to end. I really like that.
Thank you.
I think it put everybody in a very festive mood. Thank you.
Hopefully, thank you.
Great. Thank you, everybody. Thank you to our presenters. That was really, really fun time. I was just going to ask if anybody has any questions or comments. Feel free to turn on your microphone. You can ask away. I think we've had lots of comments in the chat. Everybody's really enjoyed. There's lots of positive comments that Snowman was amazing, the meal and the music. We'll give a...
Yes, we've enjoyed it from Oshawa.
Oh, great.
I recognize that voice.
She recognized your voice.
Yep, yes.
Hi, Suzanne.
Hi, Cindy. Cindy is my sister-in-law. And I have my niece sitting here and we're watching the whole program from Oshawa.
Is that Leanne?
Yes.
Hi, Leanne.
Hi, Cindy.
Thank you, Oshawa.
Woohoo!
Thanks everyone for tuning in tonight. I hope you all have a wonderful holiday. And be creative. Share your food with other people, with friends, neighbors. If there's family close by, there are many ways to celebrate a holiday. So just use your imagination and make a Rice Krispie cake and share in beautiful festive music. Thank you, Shaelee. That was lovely to have that today, and also to have someone else cooking was huge. That I enjoyed that, and it was great to have a little bit of time between recipes too. So thank you. And thank you, Carla, and all the market volunteers for all the work you do to support our farmers and producers in Norfolk County, and particularly in this area and beyond, and to provide us with a source of fresh local food. We really appreciate that.
We appreciate our farmers very, very much, Cindy, and thank you for pointing that out. As you had said, we have 2 farmers markets coming up. Pickup on this coming Friday, and the next pickup is on December the 11th. But you do have a full week to order ahead of time. So and the other thing is, this is a holiday or Christmas market. So we've got some special features such as wreaths and centerpieces that are just beautiful. Check out our website. It's www.portrowanfarmersmarket.ca, and you go into the first page and it says shop, and you just click on shop and you can see the array of items that are for sale. Really unique things are coming up. And I too personally want to thank Cindy for an excellent menu for brunch. This is just perfect. And John and Jan, you have inspired me. I'm going to make a Rice Krispie snowman as dessert. I think it's wonderful. Shaelee, you have gotten us into such a festive mood with your music.
Thank you.
Thank you. You know, Justin Bieber can kind of step aside because Shaelee's on the stage.
Thank you. That means a lot.
Thank you.
Thank
Thanks,
you for having
everyone.
me.
Thank you for joining us, everyone. We're just so pleased that you could be here with us.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you. That was great. Thanks to our presenters. Thank you, everybody, for joining us. It was really fun. We're glad to have this festive event and celebrate in different ways this year. And I hope you have a safe and happy holiday, everybody.
You too.
Okay, thank you. Have a good night, everybody.
Bye.
Everyone,
Bye.
bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.